Now it's time to bring in our next guest. That's going to be Kim Forrest, founder and chief investment officer at Boca Capital Partners. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Happy morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us early. I think you're on the West Coast there. But Kim, when you take a look at the overall tech space, we've had a nice big rally in there. Besides the pullback yesterday, a lot of people piling into Mag 7. What's your take here in the tech sector? Because I know that's what you focus on most.
Sure. Well, I focus on it because I used to be a software engineer, so it's kind of easy peasy for me. AI is still winning. The promise of AI is driving investors to try to find a way to monetize that. And I think that's correct for the long term, but I feel like we're coming up to a point where you have to ask yourself, who is going to pay for this AI that people are spending literally hundreds of billions of dollars in aggregate developing, right? And I think you have to be cautious at this point, piling into things that have worked so far. Just a note of caution, but I do think AI is here to stay and will be a tool in not only the consumer's belt to help them figure out ridiculous things like what to make for dinner, but also for companies to make their people more productive.
Yeah, Kim, when you look at this, and we've seen some winners on the software side recently, whether it's CRM, ServiceNow, Palantir doing really well in that space. Are there any names out there that you like more than others? Because that pullback, 15% pullback that we saw in Nvidia was pretty substantial, and that's the picks and shovels of this industry.
Right. Well, Nvidia has a little problem called Broadcom at this point. Nvidia has been driven by momentum investors. And momentum investors are this small pool of people that don't really care what the underlying reason is for a stock to go higher. They just know, I'm going to hop on this train because it's going to go higher. And I think the really positive comments from Broadcom about their offerings that I don't think they compete necessarily directly with NVIDIA, but they do compete for the dollars coming out of the people building AI. So there might be a shift in the builders of AI towards this inference engine away from what NVIDIA does. So I'm usually like super optimistic, but I'm giving you notes of caution. But what do I really like? This is going to be crazy because it's going to get clubbed today. It's going to get killed today is Micron.
Okay.
So what I know about computers and software is everybody needs more data. Everybody creates more data, and it has to live somewhere. And makers of NAND devices, that's NAND, is the non-volatile, like it doesn't need electricity to keep your data active. And it's replacing spinning disks, which is what used to house tons of data and still does to some extent. We like Micron, and it might give you a good entry point today and in the near future, because in spite of pretty good results for this quarter that it reported last night, it's saying that its sales of to PC makers and phone makers are going to be down, and about half of their revenue comes from that. And it's going to be down for the next couple of quarters. So you have an entry point here. But there are few makers of the products that Micron makes. So it's an oligopoly, and it looks like they're a better behaved oligopoly than they have been in the past.
Yeah, and this is part of the problem, Kim, where they still get 50% of their revenue from those legacy tech things like smartphones and such. When you look at this one, the high bandwidth memory, how much more memory does this AI applications take compared to what we used to see as far as memory? Because I think that's one of the things that a lot of investors and traders overlook is the fact that the amount of memory that you're going to need moving forward as AI gets built out is going to be exponentially higher than what we used to see.
Exactly. You were saying that correctly. And not only is it the stuff that they're going to work on and it needs to live somewhere, but the actual servers need to have more memory because of the throughput of the data that they're acting on. So this is really, I don't want to say logarithmic. Yeah, I do want to say logarithmic. This is a real change in how this memory has been used. And I think that we're going to figure this out over the next couple of years. And if you can take the volatility of a name like Micron, I think you can be rewarded in the future.
Yeah, when you take a look at this, they got some money from the CHIPS Act. They're going to build out some new plants. Is that going to be accretive to them in the near term, or is it going to take a long time to get that righted? Because, if you look at the memory sector, and I kind of been following it also as a trader, is that this is a really cyclical type of industry or component within the chip space. So how long is this build out going to take? And, is this just going to be a blip on the radar as far as, next quarter is going to be weak, or is this going to, go into the middle of 2025?
Sure. Well, I think the company has said it's going to go into the middle of 2025. And what they're really looking at is demand, not necessarily what they can add in capacity. And I think novices, or even people that think they know the tech industry, have to really realize that it takes a very, very long time to add capacity. Because you're making new buildings. You can't, these all semis, which, NAND and DRAM are subsets of that, they operate in clean rooms. It's not like you can just throw machinery in, this isn't like a steel process where you can bring up a line next to an active line, right? Processing steel, because it's all dirty. What do you care? So it's really difficult and takes a long time to add capacity. What has happened in the past is the handful of companies, I think there's 6 or 7 companies that make these products, would all add capacity at the same time, and that would depress the price of their products. And I don't know if we'll have that as much going forward. They do seem to, I wouldn't say at all collude, but they're watching what each other are bringing on in capacity pretty closely, and they're trying to pace themselves. So that should ameliorate a little bit of the wildest swings we've seen in the past. It's really a matter of demand now, and that's always tough to monitor. But I do think if you have a longer term vision, and God bless you that you're a trader, I am a buy and holder, right? I always think of something surprising good can happen as well as something bad can happen. So that's why I want to hang on to this stock during bad times is, sometimes good things happen and surprise people that are banking on a 2-quarter, pause. You never know.
Yep, and patience might be the term here. A little bit of volatility thrown in there, but you like Micron post earnings. All right, great discussion, Kim. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, that's Kim Forrest, founder and chief investment officer at Boca Capital, breaking down tech and those Micron earnings.